How well do you think the people living in Scotland knew each other 700 years ago? Do you think the people living here would know the people living over there? Well, if they had to go everywhere by foot, what do you think? At the time of our drama, most people in Scotland lived in the country. They kept animals and farmed the land to make a living. People in the country lived in small villages or steadings. Remember, with no big machines to help, the only way of ploughing fields was with the help of an ox or a horse. The land was very marshy, so to help the crops grow, they built up the earth into mounds called rigs. Crops grew on the top and the water drained into the ditches. Could these curves you see in this field today be evidence of old rigs made hundreds of years ago? Not everyone lived in the countryside, but if you wanted to walk into town from your village, you could be in for quite an adventure. There were far more forests covering Scotland in those days, thicker and darker than this one. You could find deer in the forests, but they would rush off when they saw you. But there were other animals which you no longer see in Scotland today, like these wolves, who might attack you on your journey to the borough. This borough is called Culross, and it's hundreds of years old. At the time of our story, not everyone lived in villages or steadings like the Galloways. Many people were moving into boroughs. I was taken round this one by people who live here today. So what's the name of this street?
The Stinking Wind.
The Stinking Wind? Why is it called that?
Well, everybody used to throw their rubbish and sewer out of the window.
Oh, you mean right on top of people's heads?
Yep.
Oh, yucks. You both ready?
Yeah.
On your marks, get set, go! I won! Woo! The winner! Thank you.
It wasn't fair. You got to walk on the big stones.
Well, what's the difference between the big stones and the smaller stones?
Well, in the olden days, the rich people walked on the big stones in the middle, and the poor people walked in the gutters, and they were quite dirty. Come on, I've got something to show you.
Have you? Vicky says I'll find out how people used to make a living by going to the graveyard.
Sally, have a look at this.
What is it?
It's a butcher's gravestone.
From the signs they put on their gravestones, you can see what the people used to work at. The person who is buried here must have been a blacksmith. Look, there's even a sign for the bannock makers. Have you noticed how small the door is in this old house? I wonder why that is. Do you think that maybe the people living hundreds of years ago were much smaller? Or could there be another reason? They've reconstructed this house in Aberdeen from the time of Robert the Bruce. I'm going to go and check it out. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Sally, and I've come to see what you're all getting up to. Amy, what are you working at?
I'm sewing some shoes at the moment.
And did everybody have to make their own shoes in those days?
Yes.
They didn't know shoe shops around, obviously, no. And where did you get the leather from?
The cows in the garden.
In the garden? But I thought you lived in a townhouse.
There's still cows though.
You keep a cow in your back garden, do you? And how long does it take you to make a shoe?
Around about half an hour to sew one shoe.
Only the rich could afford to buy clothes. Everyone else had to make their own. And to bake some bread or bannocks, first of all you had to make the flour. Grinding the oats or barley with a quernstone is not my idea of an easy life. And Christopher, what are you doing down here?
I'm making herbal medicine.
Herbal medicine. And how are you making this herbal medicine?
Well, first I need ingredients. I have oatmeal,
Use
nettles,
Nettles?
yes, and mustard seeds. And we've got mint over here.
Okay, so we'll shove some mint in, shall we?
Yes.
And anything else we need to put in there?
We need a teensy bit of water just to make
Bit
it.
of water to help.
Yes.
Now, with this herbal medicine, what will it help cure?
It helps wounds.
Oh, to cure wounds. So it'll be quite
Yes.
good for Robert the Bruce and his
That's right.
army
Yes.
of men who are all maybe wounded, and he could put some of this on. And would you eat it?
Oh no. You put it on your wounds.
Oh, you actually put it on your wounds. And this is one here that's
Yes.
it's already made up. Let's see what it looks like. Maybe Thomas Galloway would have been glad of a recipe like that when he was in the army.
Were you at Falkirk, Master Galway?
Aye. You were a soldier with Wallace, a great man. But we were just fair boys against knights on horses.
Do you think that Thomas Galloway was well equipped when he fought for the Scots at Falkirk? I suppose he wouldn't have very many weapons if he had to provide his own. Maybe just a spear.
Up! Salad! Slow!
Today's soldiers are well trained and well armed. Without training, they wouldn't be much use. Just look at the chaos you can cause when you join the army without any training. Morning, you.
No, wait for it. Salad! About turn, come back this way.
When Thomas Galloway arrived here in Falkirk, he would have walked all the way and he'd be facing an English army much larger, better equipped and better trained than the Scots. The names of the English commanders and their equipment were recorded at the time. This book shows pages and pages of them. There was no way the Scots could compete. You get no idea in Falkirk today of the sheer scale of the battle. There's a monument to it, but not much else. The only reason I know the battle site is around here is because it's mentioned on the map. This must be it. But taking part in the battle here, a battle which the Scots lost, has put Thomas off fighting for good. He just wants to be left alone with his sheep.
Help me reach the abbey.
What?
One of these men wants to fight.
Help me
One
reach
wants
the
to farm. Which of them is right?
For Scotland's sake. What about my sheep? While you play with swords, have to farm, raise sheep, pay tithes and service to the abbey. What will Scotland be worth without sheep, eh?